And next on the list here is Dark. What do you have for us?
Oh boy. Yeah. Sorry, folks. I've got a little bit of a woke series, okay?
Oh no, is it the
Um,
Twitter series?
I don't know. Is this a Twitter series? I haven't been paying attention to anime Twitter. I have Skip and Loafer. It's to get right into it. Just kidding, it's really fucking good. Um,
Is loafer slang for something?
so
Is that why
yeah,
it
so spoiler
woke?
alert, no characters in this are named Skip or Loafer.
Damn,
And this
really?
is not a buddy cop series, so
This is a sequel to Carol on Tuesday? What the fuck,
yeah,
man?
Yeah, man.
unfortunately
I was
no.
really hoping for that.
So yeah, this is a slice of life series. It's called a drama. It's labeled as a drama on like Mall, but it's like really not like because like here's like I feel like calling a series a drama series at this point kind of gives you the wrong impression for a series like this. Like this technically is a drama series, right? It is slice of life centered around drama for each episode, but the
Mhm.
drama is very real. It's very minor. It's very slice of life
It's not
type
like,
things,
oh,
and
my mother
characters
was
do
hit by
not.
an airplane into whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's not like, like, that girl, she, like, took my
She's
eraser,
dying in
so
like a tube.
now
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking mope about it for the next 18 minutes.
Mhm.
Um,
Damn,
it's,
all in the first episode? Wow.
yeah, it's very much, it is very much sort of like minor school dramas or like life sort of dramas, and anxieties being dealt with in a more nuanced fashion, in a very lighthearted way. So I guess the synopsis is in order to pursue her dream of bringing positive change to Japan, Mitsumi Iwakura leaves her countryside town to attend a prestigious high school in the hustle and bustle of Tokyo. As she has already mapped out a clear life plan, she has absolute confidence that there will be zero mishaps then onwards. And despite her ambitious promise, the country girl ends up running late on the first day, and when she gets lost on the way to school. And during that, she meets our male maid, the blonde-haired guy, Sosuke Shima. And he is just a very laid-back individual, in direct contrast to her sort of, trying to have a clear life plan and a very hard goal. Now the premise itself too doesn't really capture, I guess, Mitsumi's character either. Her character, even though she has her life quote unquote planned out and she has very high aspirations and wants to be in like the Japanese government, essentially to solve the problems we talk about very frequently on this podcast. Like, well, they don't say population in the show or how they're going to solve it yet, but she does bring up like her hometown sort of suffering being in the countryside because of, people moving away, not enough influx of people, things like that. But that's not really like a super center thing. Her character is kind of like the high aspirations and has a goal, but ultimately is not super disciplined in the sense of she's pretty balanced.
Mhm.
And she kind of wants to be a super disciplined person, but never winds up being one, and just kind of does things her own way so far. Um, and that's kind of like where the series kind of just goes from there. These two characters bouncing off of each other, and just like slight dramas in between it. There was one episode where
So
or rather in the first
can you
episode, the drama is that she's late on her first day and like
right.
is nervous and throws up on their teacher. Like, but through that makes a name for herself, and people are like, oh, you're oh, you're that girl who is like, who
Who
threw up
barf?
on the teacher on the first day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like
Can
her
you?
her self introduction was like, you know, another thing that stuck with people. But it's one of those things where she had super anxiety, was extremely anxious about her self introduction, lost sleep over it, and then wound up like making a really awkward but funny statement. And then that's another thing that people remember her for now. And she kind of brings people
So
together in, what would you call it? Um, she winds up like bringing people together and solving issues without realizing like her attitude is what is doing that.
so she's the skip and he's the loafer. Is this what I was coming at?
I
Yeah,
don't.
you know what? If you want to put it that way, sure.
I was. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what the title means. Like,
I think the title is just a very loose sort of vibes based title in a
Yeah,
way.
skipping it.
I,
Yeah,
I don't know what a skip or a
It's probably
loafer
like
is.
I think it means like the actual
loafer. It's
action
like
of
the shoe.
skipping.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Skip
okay.
Like
and
the
also like
actual, you know,
loafer shoe.
thing.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. I still don't get it, but all right.
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah.
very. I
Can I?
think it is a very vibe based thing.
Yeah, he. I think they're talking about like the actual like shoe, like the loafer shoe
Yeah,
kind of thing. But
and so
Oh,
I guess,
okay. Okay.
but just before Aspire starts, I guess I would say in from what I'm saying to summarize sort of the main point I'm trying to make by bringing all that up is that I think the series' strong suit right now is all of the characters have been very very strong and almost tropey when they're introduced, but through Mitsumi kind of like change and grow, having her as like the center of their group. And a lot of like odd, sort of like
can
odd
you elaborate
couples
on that
coming out of
strong
it.
a little bit? What do you mean by strong? As in like you see each of these characters become take up camera time, quote unquote camera time, whatever screen time, and become important or engaging characters each on their own right? Or what do you
Yes.
mean by strong? Okay.
Yeah. So all of them have something going on. Obviously, like they are tropey in the sense of like Makoto, the sort of like nerdy girl that they meet up with and sort of become friends with in a roundabout way. I guess to make a minor spoiler about it, she's kind of falling into place and trying to join like the student council because she feels like that is essentially her place because she's very shy. She's not really into like fashion or like anything like that or girly stuff for the most part. But she winds up meeting with the what she considers a gyaru, Yuzuki, who's a blonde haired girl, very into fashion, but not like in the gyaru way, more in like a mature fashion way, I guess you could say, like a more adult fashion. Um, and it's just a more mature character. And so Yuzuki doesn't have a problem with her and wants to be friends with her, but then feels overbearing because Makoto like is closed off to her and doesn't like people like that. But over the course of an
Okay.
episode, there's sort of interactions that they build upon and sort of tackle in a much more real way of coming to terms with each other and being like, no, I don't want to just dislike you from the outset just because you behave this way or not even behave this way, you look this way and put on like, you know, like that's your style. And yet, you know, you're trying to extend essentially a hand to me and I'm just being an asshole about it. Stuff like that. And so that kind of like happens with a lot of characters. Um and they sort of are pretty dynamic in that sense. There's another one which I'll just say like the sort of bit that happens, the sort of arc that they're going through with her, which is Mika, who is a like brunette girl who's really into Shima and doesn't really
Right.
understand like what's going on between him and Mitsumi and like kind of
Right.
wants to get in between them, but finds herself like sort of doubting her intentions. Like there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of monologue with where it's like she seems to be like quote unquote the bitch essentially at some points towards Mitsumi. but
Mhm.
most people like kind of really aren't catching on to like what she's trying to do, except for Yuzuki. And that
Mhm.
kind of makes Mika doubt herself, and things like that start to happen. And there's a lot of like internal monologue slash like internal like change and thought process. Um,
So how
I
much of a sort of general balance screen time is there with regards to the general cast kind of doing their own things and kind of rotating through that versus like Sosuke and Mitsumi and their relationship slash how they're like kind of dealing with their lives. You know what I mean? Is there some
so
sort of like specific balance?
Sosuke and Mitsuki are very much the center for the most part. Mitsumi rather.
Mitsumi, yes.
Mitsumi though is the basically like the full center. There is not a ton of only Sosuke so far that we've seen. There are some little tidbits of that. As far as the
Right.
supporting cast goes, it kind of rotates them in and out a lot. There's a lot of group stuff with like almost the entire supporting cast, honestly, like meeting up with each other and interacting with each other. So they all get a ton of screen time.
It's
Um,
almost like it's almost like, you know those series where it's like a witch or like some stuff like something like a Natsume Ijincho or Kino Tabi or like Majo no Tabi Tabi, where like they go on a journey, right? And they see like these different people and then they like kind of solve their problems or whatever it is, stuff like that, right? It's kind of like
so
that,
it
but
is kind
the
of like
people
that.
are in the classroom, yeah. Like they don't have to
Yeah,
go
and the
places.
problems are a little bit more, it's a little bit less of like a hard like problem solve. It's more of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
bits of character growth for these
Yeah,
people for that
yeah, yeah.
episode, and then it kind of continuing
Yep.
after that. Like how do they react now in the next episode between each other and things like that. There's obviously like there's a little bit of background drama for people. There's some backstory drama, things like that, but it doesn't really seem to be getting too much to like an overly dramatic way that you would expect most series or a lot of series really to tackle that. Because
Mhm.
I think the big thing about the series is that there is a ton of like nuance in a way. There's a ton of like little things with character interactions that really aren't like called out or called to. And you kind of have to, you know, sort of identify what's going on there and really think about why characters would do certain things in certain scenes, things like that. Because they don't always rely on like internal monologue. They're not going to throw that out for everything.
Mhm.
And there's a decent amount of subtlety in some of it too. Um, I think a major one that kind of captures it would probably be, and this is its own tangent entirely at this point for the character of Naochan, which is Mitsumi's aunt and also a trans woman. Um, but again,
Yeah.
what I really like about this series is that it doesn't rely on only internal monologue, only sort of exposition and things like that. Like it is never stated to you that Naochan is trans. Um, other than, you know, like you can kind of get it from obviously her character design and then her voice and things like that. Like the voice actress they chose specifically is a more um what would you call it, has a deeper voice. It's Mitsuki Saiga. She does a lot of typecasted as like male characters as well.
Mhm.
But there is a scene specifically in, I want to say episode 2 or 3, where Mitsumi and Now are on a train and there are just high school girls making comments about essentially like hinting at like, oh, like what's going on, like is that woman, like is that a man or is that a woman, and then they're like, oh no, like no way, and like whispering to themselves essentially, and they clearly overhear it. And so what Mitsumi does is she kind of like changes the conversation with Now or brings up something to change it, and they kind of bounce off of each other from there. It doesn't turn into like a
Oh, okay, okay,
it
okay.
doesn't turn into like a suspense sort of scene or like a, you know, like I don't know,
Yeah, it doesn't
like a
let the
reaction type
series
scene.
doesn't make let the series doesn't let the tone get too out of hand, like, not make it
Well,
seem like it's
it's
just a
not.
regular
Yeah,
show.
it's not like because like the point was more so that to point out like this is something that now would face, and this
Mhm.
is sort of how Mitsumi is going to try and like ease this situation without it turning into
Okay.
like a confrontation, which I think opens up a lot of character interactions, whereas other series I feel like would fall back on whether it be preaching about this situation to you directly, a monologue or exposition, or even something like, turning it into a conflict that is resolved, right? Like it was very
Mhm.
much like this scene doesn't resolve this issue, right? Because you
Mhm.
can't resolve it. That's not something you can resolve. It's not,
Yeah,
and
it's just like
I feel like
people
there is a
having, like, being uncomfortable, right? It's not like
yeah, well, I mean, it's just like it's people being transphobic. Like you're
right.
not going to resolve that. And I feel like, some shows would straight up try and like do a conflict and then
And then
essentially a
have the
come to
person change
Jesus
their mind.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
have a come to
yeah,
Jesus
yeah,
moment for
yeah,
this
yeah,
person, and then it'd be
yeah.
like, oh, sick, dude. This anime
Mhm.
solved transphobia. Awesome. It's like, no, you know, uh, if we're gonna show this sort of thing, I think like having it in there as a small part, and then just having that nuance in that scene there, not even be really like, not have exposition to essentially explain to you what's happening, is really good. And I think that happens a lot in this series for pretty much a lot of the drama. So I don't know. Yeah, I just think that type of stuff is kind of this series' strong suit, and it's been a really really good time because of that.
Speaking of
How do
that,
you
why wasn't there any sort of backlash when Tomo-chan the Onnanoko came out?
I
Everyone
mean,
was like,
I'm
huh?
shocked
You're a
that there
girl?
wasn't. But they,
I
I
mean,
mean, the thing with Toma-chan is one, it wasn't played off of that, and two, it's like again, like we all knew what Toma-chan was trying to do, right? Like we knew what type of series that was. It was going to be a very cheesy, guilty pleasure sort of like tomboy childhood friend series. It's not really trying to say anything, right? It is very much an indulgence because there are even, aspects of Toma-chan where there's like zero nuance where what's his name? June fucking
Jin,
like
yes.
literally like rips a like assaulter off of a bus, right? Like they're like having like those types of scenarios, like we know what's going on here. Like we know what type of series this is. It's very much like, it's very much I would call it essentially that indulgence, right? That guilty pleasure of you should probably be seeing that and being like, I shouldn't really I don't even know what to say. Like I shouldn't really be like, "Oh wow, this is sick. Like this is dope. Like this is awesome. Love this scene." But it's more so of like, you know,
It's a very definite package.
yeah, it's something that you know what satisfaction you're going to get out of it, and it's
Mhm.
a much shallower like type of idea. That
Okay.
like Tomo-chan is not resting on the laurels of being nuanced, to say the least.
Yeah,
And I
so
guess like
can I
you know
part
what
of
I liked about
yeah, yeah, Scar.
Tomo-chan? The title
Mhm.
made sense. The series is all about Tomo-chan's trying to be a girl. You said all this stuff. I
Yeah, again,
still,
like I said, man, there is no skip and there is no loafer.
I'm just saying that,
There are
like, I,
but there is skipping and there are loafers because they are wearing loafers and there is skipping and loafers in the ED. So,
hey man, I'm just saying I prefer Chekhov's gun in my writing. If it's called Skip and Loafer, I want to see skipping and loafers. They need
well,
like
there is
a
no
focus
skipping
point.
yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
lame.
Uh, anyways, that aside, I wanted to kind of ask. So where? So how do you think that this is 12 episodes, right? The standard 12 episodes.
Yes.
So how do you think that this series is going to end in the anime, or how do you think it's going to wrap up in the end? Is it going
I
to
think it'll
have like the bigger sort of like drama slash conflict within episodes 9, 10, 11, and then resolve it, or and then they kind of go like, there were more adventures
I
after
think there's
this, and
probably
then kind of leave it
yeah,
to
I
the
think it's
manga.
probably just
Yeah.
going to be steadier small dramas into character growth, into like sort of like the friend group and class growing closer.
Hmm.
I think we'll have stuff like that. I don't think this is going to go anywhere like super crazy with the drama. I hope it doesn't.
Hmm.
In a recent episode it's kind of hinting that Sosuke's laid back nature might be because he either lost his mom or something like that, because they find out that he was a child actor, and he sort of in a more somber moment said, yeah, like I'm kind of done with acting, like I don't want to do it ever again because I was only really doing it because it made my mom happy. And so I guess, like, the inference we can make from that is like, well, if you're not acting anymore and you were sort of, you don't seem like, he doesn't seem upset to make his mom happy. Like, oh, like I was only doing it for her. Like I didn't want to do it. It seems more like he wanted to do it because it made her happy. So the inference we can make is she's out of the picture. I
Hmm.
could be wrong on that, but that was what I gathered from something like that. Um, so I think like maybe the larger drama might turn out to be more so of like Sosuke finding like what he wants, because when Mitsumi brings up, this is what she wants to do, this is her goal, he says like, like, oh, that's really like that's really admirable. I don't feel that way about like anything. Like I kind of just am living in the moment and being
Exist.
happy with the people
Yeah.
around me.
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, when you find something like that, um, like I'll be there for you, to help you through it, because it goes off of like a story with her and someone in her hometown and stuff like that. But essentially, like that
Mhm.
turns into their character dynamic right now. Most recently is, when he finds something he wants, she'll be there to sort of push him through it.
So it's a more like a platonic kind of thing, right now.
Well, right now it's very platonic. Mitsumi is probably too much of an airhead regardless. But I do think they're gonna wind up being a couple in that sense, like growing through that. Maybe
Right.
that
Right.
might be by the end of the season, by the end of this too.
So, I'm kind of so I was kind of like skimming through a little bit of the staff as well. It's by the way, it's PA work, so obviously again, they are still coming out of their probation a little bit. They made some decent stuff
Don't
recently.
worry, the fact that
Um
this is like a good series means
yeah,
next
they
PA
have
work series is going to be probably the worst thing you've ever watched in your
the
life.
whiskey series is going to like make every whiskey
Dude,
slash
they're
anime
gonna
fan just
like
like rage.
yeah, they're gonna pull out
Like
like the ghosts of like the fucking whiskey barrels fucking
yeah,
bombs or
no,
some
yeah.
shit. It's like
I
God.
I like how, by the way, so like I forget who it was, but one of the like the producers
Bro,
at PA Works was talking about how they released a statement about how, how PA Works does like workplace anime, right? Like
Yeah.
Shirobako, like stuff like that, like are like specific like workplace like kind of stuff, right? And they
mhm.
listed Aquatope in White Sand as one of the workplace anime. I'm like, that is not how that works.
But
Like, I don't
what
think you under.
wasn't Aquatope about like
Was that
going
about the
to
whale or the aquarium? Which one?
it was about the
No,
aquarium.
it's like the
Uh,
girls maintain an aquarium, but like half of it was
That
like,
had like ghosts
oh,
and
I
shit
see
in
the
it though, right? Like
shimmering,
yeah,
yeah, I
that
see
was
like the
weird.
shimmering apparitions of the fish, and it's like, what the fuck?
yeah, that's not
Like, what?
Yeah,
that's not
they're
like
just
that's not workplace like typical workplace environment for an
Yeah,
aquarium.
yeah. Okay. See. Here's the four. So workplace series. The current ones they have Hanasako Iraha, which is like kind of okay, I guess, but
Mm,
it's kind of like vague, but it kind of still works. Shirobako, which definitely works. Sakura Quest, which is like, but I guess it works. And
sure.
then
no,
Aquatope,
soccer
which is
request
like,
is definitely work stuff. It's just not, it's not
yeah,
really like work. I mean, it kind of is, because it is very much
it's like
like
it's not a
talking to
specific like
colleagues.
industry kind of thing. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
very
girls working.
much yeah.
Yeah. Aquatope, fucking. Anyways, But yeah, PA Works coming out of the probation, they made some decently okay series, including this one, obviously. The director actually, so you know how we were talking about how this was similar to
Yeah, so
sort of like people going on journeys like that, right? The director
yeah,
for
this
this is
director is
actually the
definitely
director
interesting
for yeah
because this
for
is the
Natsume
director for
Yuujin Show.
yeah, Natsume Union Show. So
Yeah,
I
so
thought that
he's an
that
expert in
was
these
very
things.
interesting. Yeah.
And Rolling Girls and Silver Spoon. So he's got a lot of experience in these sorts of like slice of life stuff, just like heading that and putting his good spin to it. So I think this was definitely in good hands, and it was good source material for PA Works. So they kind of
Yeah.
rolled it up into some pretty good work. So I guess do you have any last words for the series?
Let me
Um
ask you this, Dark. Is it better than Do It Yourself?
It's
I
also
mean,
very
yeah,
weird
like
comparison.
again,
Again,
completely different
What?
series.
apples and oranges, my friend.
Well, then what about Leave It? Was it Leave It to Azoken? What's this series of?
Leave Your Hands Off Azukin, another
Yeah.
completely different series.
I don't know, man. I'm getting the same vibes from this.
Entirely different. But yeah, so this series is great. I guess another thing to point out is I would say the art style and the visuals, the audio visuals are godlike. They're really cozy, they're really nice. It knows yeah, and just the directing is really good. It knows when to
Yeah.
transition styles, it knows when to sort of do visual gags, and it's been great. PA Works coming out of the gate swinging,
Yeah.
going to
Return
be
to form, for sure.
up in the top 2 PA Works based on works female writers, you know.
The other one.
The other one, Hanasaka Ura, except we know what happened after that with that author. So hopefully this writer does quite a lot more. This
Market
mangaka.
was
So
fine? Question mark.
yeah,
But
Tamako Market so cozy it will fucking put you to sleep.
yeah.
What about Wonder Egg Priority?
Wonder Egg Priority is we will not be talking about Wonder Egg Priority very much anymore. Wonder Egg Priority might be one of the biggest betrayals in
That wasn't-
anime of all
that wasn't
time.
her.
That was
was it?
Cloverworks, right?
That was not. That also was not. That was not Okada Marie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Okada
Wonder
Marie,
Egg
another
Priority.
hack.
Wonder Egg Priority just has the trappings of like
Hold on, what did Okada Marie write?
a failure like
Oh wait,
that.
no, Hana. Okay,
She's
Okada
gone into
Marie's
pretty
good.
much all movies recently, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's. I think she's done.
Yeah.
I think Okada Marie has done
I
a
think she's
lot
done a
better
couple
with
movies so far.
movies. So.
Hold on, she did a couple episodes of Fate Stay Night. Never mind, she's one of the good ones.
Bro,
Yeah, I
dude,
mean
she
Okada
did,
Marie can.
she did
do
Kiznaiver,
great.
didn't she? Like,
Yeah, and then
yes,
Okada
she did
Marie
because
can
of
do
that.
Kiznaiver, and Okada Marie
But
can
yeah, she also
do.
did Dragon Pilot.
Okada Marie also did fucking
yeah, but
exactly.
Dragon.
Again,
Keep in
she
mind,
can
Dragon
do-
Pilot ended horribly. Like, it ended fucking
Yeah,
horrendously.
Dragon.
Like,
But what about
literally everything about that show was golden, and except for the ending.
what about the Savage Maiden thing? What's it called?
Maidens, in your savage season.
Savage. Yeah, something like that. Didn't you guys like that?
I didn't watch that
What was
because
it?
it was an
I don't
Okada
even
Marie
remember.
series, and I didn't hear
mean,
anything about it.
I mean,
Which
Iron Blood
scares
Orphans
me.
I feel like somebody covered
got
that.
really became
Yeah,
really
that was the other
bad.
thing. Okada Marie also did fucking Iron Blooded Orphans. So, like again,
Don't worry. She
whew.
after what 2012, that's when she became bad. Everything else though, pretty good. What else?
Okada
Yeah,
Marie
I mean-
is about as coin flippy as Nitro Plus is, honestly.
Yeah, it's-
Toradora, Sakura So, Anohana, all good.
yeah, she also did
Konomoto Jikan,
fucking.
I don't know, man. Oh god, True Tears. I hate True Tears.
Yeah, she
still put
also
on the
fucking
list.
wrote. She also wrote that other fucking series that was like the survival game with the bus or whatever.
Oh,
Fortnite?
Wait, fuck! I didn't know. Wait, hold up. Wait, I didn't know she wrote the original
Lost
Black Rock
Village?
shooter anime. Holy
yeah.
shit!
Yeah, she
didn't know
did.
that? She did. Yeah.
Oh my! Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, Dark. You're talking about the Lost Village, right?
Yeah.
That shit was Kino, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Mayoiga. Yeah, she wrote Mayoiga,
Mayoiga?
which has a cool 5.5 on Mall. So like
Yeah.
Oh,
when you're
Mayoga was
hitting
pretty shit.
5.5 with 100,000
I
users
mean,
on Mall, like
keep in
that's
mind,
bad.
she was writing Mayoiga and Kisniver within the same
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, back to
Yes.
back.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's like Okada
Again,
Marie is like a very interesting individual because everyone knows she can put out some of the best shit ever. And then she just gets
Skip also
thrown
me.
into like
Mayoiga.
she just gets thrown into like a garbage pile and they're like, okay, but like
Yeah.
can you do something with this? And it's just like
Yeah.
sure.
What I think I think if she's given like a longer anime series, like I usually want to say like 24 to 26 episodes, and it has to be an anime series, not a TV or not sorry, not a movie. If she's given like 24 episodes, like enough time, and it's like a more of a slice of life, like kind of introspective kind of thing, then she is nearly unparalleled
Well,
in terms of that stuff.
it's a good
But
thing
like
the only thing she's done for the last like 4 years is movies.
yeah, movies and also like random like 11, 13 episode kind of
Yeah.
stuff where it's just like she's doing handling like random subjects and shit like that, like weird subjects. When she's doing that, that's not like it's not good. Like even before this, like when she's writing like shorter series on weird subjects, think about this record. Like she wrote Hanasako Iroha, that was good, right? And then
One of the
before
best.
like uh, Anohana, like obviously I have a very controversial take on it, and I was like, it's too short, and then she kind of wrapped it up, whatever. Like that was like there, and then afterwards she wrote Black Rock Shooter, she wrote AKB 0048, she wrote
Kino.
Blast of Tempest, she
Oh
wrote three
yeah.
back to back to
Well,
back series.
to be fair, for Zetsu no Tempest, she was just series composition, right?
Yeah, but series composition is like an overall kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
mean,
So
she was
it
still,
is the manga original though. I do agree. I do
yeah.
agree. Yeah. And it's just like, wait, was Nagi no Asakura was also original? No, it was manga. Manga. Okay. What was the one after? Okay, after AKB 0048, what was the next series where she's like where she actually did like an original? Was it Recross? Was Recross the was Recross really the next one? That was the
Kisniver. I
original?
don't know.
Is
Holy
Recross,
shit.
well, I mean, I guess Recross is an original.
Yeah. Although did it have story in the game?
I I literally know nothing about the Recross game, so I couldn't tell you. Like,
I can't believe she went from AKB 0048 to like the next original one being like probably Recross.
Is that the
Or
one with
like
the dude?
it's either Recross or IBO, right? Like,
yeah,
What is
it
that
was
one?
Recross or IBO. Neither of which have the best reputations, but
no.
Who did,
um
who did
although Recross
Handshakers?
got a little bit of hype, I think. But yeah, I think Okada Marie, when she's in her specific lane with her specific pacing, with her specific medium, with her specific genre slash subgenre, she is again unparalleled. But whenever she strays outside of that, it's like, what's happening? What? I can't believe this is written by her. It's kind of thing. So a little bit of
Alright, we need to do a tier list.
tier list of what
We need to do a tier list of
Okada Marie
Makoto
series.
Shinkai, Okada Marie, Nisio
Yeah.
Isin, and
Oh, you mean like
the others.
writers? Like
Yeah,
famous writers?
we need to do
I'll
a
get
tier list.
fucking
Like
crucified.
a writer tier list, bro,
Yeah.
that
Bro,
is going to
if
that is going to create a
yeah,
lot of hate mail, I think.
if I posted that on YouTube, I would get crucified. Like
Do it.
that would scare me with regards to this. Like
Ken
I usually don't get
Urobuchi.
scared by social media reactions. That would scare me. Like these nerds will be out for my blood. But
Who's the one that wrote Bakemono again? Was that?
it was
Nisio
Nisio
Isin.
Isin, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we let's see, Nisio Isin, Makoto Shinkai, Okada Marie,
I am not going to
Ken
post anything on
Urobuchi,
social media ranking any of those people.
and
Sorry.
Asu.
I value my life too much to be fucking like samurai sorted by some random
What was
otaku on the
the
streets, okay?
what was the series where all the writers like were playing their D&D characters?
It's Chaos
Chaos
Dragon.
Dragon.
It's
Yeah,
the
we need to
Genrobuchi one. Yeah.
we need to do a tier list based on who appeared in Chaos Dragon.
God. Anyways, thank you, Dark. Getting back into the matter.
What's your
Sorry for the
rating?
But
tangent.
yeah, great,
Uh,
great show. Check it out. My rating, 10 out of 10.
Nice, good stuff. But yeah, it is Skip and Loafer. Yeah, Skip to Loafer. Yes, yeah, Skip and Loafer. It is a PA Works manga original into anime adaptation. It is headed by the same director who worked on the later seasons, season 5 and 6, and some of the OVAs of Natsume Yujincho, as well as some other slice of life stuff. They're in good hands. Source material is good too. Everything kind of rolled out pretty well. So everything seems to be going pretty well. So please do check it out when you have the time.